Welcome to Season 2 of The Biz Show, sponsored by Invest Choir. And now, your hosts, Barry and Lisa.
Hi, good morning, Barry. How are you?
Lisa, I am good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. It's been a very busy week.
Sorry you caught me swigging some coffee. Uh,
Oh, I can't
yes.
have any coffee for 3 days. I'm going to be having withdrawals.
Oh no.
Love my morning coffee. I know.
I gotta have my 2 cups and then I'm set. And unfortunately, when you asked me how I was doing, I was taking a swig. So sorry about that.
I know you've been sick lately, so I think you're on the upward mend.
I am on the upward mend, thank God. I sound a little better. I'm not as tired and fatigued as I was. Um, I'm
Yeah,
kind
I
of
heard
getting
this one attacks your throat, right? You were kind of losing your voice there for a minute.
I had a sore throat. I
Yeah,
definitely had a sore throat.
my
Well,
daughter has that now.
which one?
Nicole, the one I just visited with my
Oh,
grand.
okay. All right.
Yeah, she's having a hard time taking care of the baby and being sick and not feeling great, right?
That's what she's got a husband for.
Joys of parenthood.
Yeah.
Yes,
Teamwork. Teamwork,
right.
right?
Yes, he needs to step up, but he's got to work. So,
Yeah. Well, listen, let's jump in, right? So, this is episode 29
yeah,
of 30 for season 2, and then we jump into season 3.
so excited to have some guest speakers.
Yes, definitely. Me too, man. And I enjoy those.
Yes.
So this one, as we're kind of winding down this season, right? We kind of wanted to just touch basis of some challenges that entrepreneurs have in their starting a new business or even just running a business per se. Not necessarily just what a new business might entail, because these really kind of come into play with all businesses, right?
So you would say this isn't only for new business owners, but it could be somebody that's been in business a long time and they're facing the similar challenges, right?
Exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly. So, with that, sorry for the cough. It's really just about the challenges that entrepreneurs are going to face, right? We'll talk about the top 10. There's plenty of them for sure, and we might not cover all of them. But challenge number one is when you're starting a new business, money, right?
Yeah, it takes money to make money. That's what I always say.
It
You can't
does.
be afraid to put the money out if you really believe in the dream. So I definitely would say that, it's a risk. It's definitely a risk.
It is. And there are businesses that you can start with no money, and there are businesses that you need to start with like $10 million, right? And there's far many thousands and hundreds and millions in between,
Between.
right? So, but the best thing that you can do here is on your financial management is to plan, right? You might not have to have the money right now, this very moment, but at some point you're going to have it, right?
Right.
And with that, for instance, if you're starting a retail store, you need the money up front because you got product to stock the shelves. However, if you're starting a service-based business and you're providing the service, you might be able to start with nothing.
Right. Well, there's probably a little bit of, outlay of money for every business, but it's just going to vary depending on what you're doing.
Yeah, a small amount. For instance, if you're going to start a business and provide services, you're going to need a website. You're going to need a few things to help you, you know, get
You're going to need
along.
some sort of app on your phone, I'm sure.
Yeah.
The list goes on. But it's important to not like empty your bank account, and make yourself broke in terms of like starting a company. So definitely have some management and budgeting and planning involved.
Exactly. Exactly. So that's the biggest factor.
If
You
you're
know,
not, you know, uh, if you don't have the strong suit of managing or budgeting or even like accounting or bookkeeping, I would, ask a partner or a spouse or a child or somebody to help you with that because it's very important to keep your eye on the budget and on your bank account so that you are prepared and you don't fail.
Yeah, I like that you said a child, right? So ask your toddler, hey, can you manage my account for me?
Well, my children are grown, so I'm thinking in terms of a
I,
kid, but
I understand. So are mine. Um,
yeah.
so one of the biggest ones, right? And we all run into this, and it's an ongoing battle is time management.
Yes,
And,
definitely. Everyone
and
struggles with that. I was just talking to my team member about it yesterday.
yeah, I struggle with it myself all the time. You know, I used to be really good at multitasking, but I just now find that I don't have the time like I used to devote to six different projects. I have to really narrow it down now. And time management is critical in the new business phase. I mean, it's critical through all of them, but specifically when you're starting a new business, it's like getting married.
Yeah, because it devotes all of your time. You have to devote every second, and I'm sure you're like laying awake at night thinking of all the things that you need to do. At least I know that I am on some of my deals. And it's just hard to balance. It's hard to balance the business and your personal life and the family and you're having some fun. Even your business could zap you of all of your time.
The thing for me, I try to go with the uh, Pareto principle, and that's the 80-20 rule.
Hmm.
And that is really to spend 20, the 20% of your customers produce the most amount of income, right? So trying to narrow down, what is most critical, where am I going to get the best bang for my buck?
Yeah, I always tell my team, I'm like, if your task isn't making you money, you may want to reconsider how much time you're involving in it
That
because
that has
you could
been my
pretend to be
problem.
busy and you could never make any money.
That's my problem. I need to refocus that because yeah, half the stuff I do ain't making me nothing.
That's not good, Barry.
I know it. Damn it.
And maybe you
Um,
enjoy it, so maybe that's why it doesn't feel like a job because you enjoy those things.
yeah, some things better than others, that's for sure.
Yes.
Uh, you
So
know,
time blocking, calendar, making a calendar. Just even start, people get overwhelmed. I don't know if what I'm gonna be able to do on Friday. Well, just start with one day, like make a calendar and see if you can be disciplined to stick to it. And then even put your personal stuff in there, walking the dog or spending time, for lunch with your loved one or something. I always say put your personal stuff in there as well as your business.
agreed. The other thing is take a look at how long each task is going to take, right? And if you got an item that is going to take you a minute or two, get those done right away. Get them off the list, right? Those things
Right.
take nothing to get them done. Get them done. That way you can focus on the more important ones.
Yeah, those things bog you down, all those little things.
Yes, they do.
Take
You
the bull by
know,
the horns and do it, multitask. Do it while you're, you know, in the middle of other things and just get it done. Like Barry said, 2-minute rule. If you can get it done, do it right now.
yes. And the other one is boundaries. And you've done a really good job at this of recent time of learning to say no. And I have a hard problem with that myself, and I'm still not very good at it.
Yeah.
Of Sometimes you just have to say no. I can't do that.
Yes.
You know, but
Before
here's an
you say
issue.
no, maybe think about it.
Yeah, here's an issue for me, right? People come to me all the time and like, hey Barry, can you help me do this? And in their minds, they're like, I'm talking tech wise, management wise, computer wise. And in their mind, they're thinking, oh, this only take 5 minutes. No, it don't. It's going to take half an hour to an hour.
Yeah.
It always does.
It always
And
does. Definitely
it
when it comes
always,
to computers, you can get
yeah,
sucked in hours. Most definitely.
it does. And so, try
But
to take
schedule
a
it,
look at those boundaries. Yeah,
instead of
exactly.
saying yes, say, oh, I have time on Tuesday at 1 o'clock. Yeah, schedule it instead of saying yes, because then you're never going to get to the things that you had planned on doing.
Right. The
So
other
just,
thing is, yes, exactly. Just say no, right? I think that's a catchphrase for something.
I know, wasn't that pertaining to drugs back in the
Yeah.
80s?
Back during Ronald Reagan, I think
And they
Nancy
drilled
Reagan
in a,
said, just say no.
yeah, Yeah, it was drilled into our brains. But that could apply to business too, right? Your
It
colleagues are
can.
pulling you in all kinds of directions, especially when you work in an office environment.
Yep. The other thing is I try to break my hours, my day down into 30-minute chunks. And in those 30-minute chunks, I'll take a 5-minute break. Just step away for a couple minutes. It helps you, when you come back to think about the problem
That's true.
differently,
Yeah,
right?
that's a very
So,
helpful idea.
so, I work on whatever I'm working on, and then I'll step away, whether it's just to go get a drink of water or, go to the bathroom, whatever. I'm stepping away from it and kind of just regroup and refocus.
Yeah, I had a colleague that was so diligent about that. He would step away from his desk and actually take a bottle of water and walk around the block and then come back. But it helped him get exercise. It helped him, take his water and drink a whole bottle of water. And it just clears your mind. So you can come back and like give it another 100%.
Yes, that's, I find for myself, I have much better focus on that, right? So, because you're getting into this fuzziness and fogginess of whatever problem you're working on. If you can step away for a minute, you can clear all that fog out and then get back and jump back into it.
Right. Or not. Or maybe you're like, I don't want to work.
Well, that's true. Maybe you hop in the car and go to a restaurant and have yourself a drink, right?
I just got a new car, so it's like all I want to do is drive it.
Oh, nice. What'd you get?
I got a Genesis. I never thought I
Oh,
would, but the car dealership owner that we interviewed, Brian, was telling me how Genesis has really great reviews, and you could look it up online yourself, but the reviews are just fantastic, and the price point was good, so I got a Genesis.
congratulations.
Yeah, no more Mercedes for me for a while.
For a while. Who knows
Yeah,
what?
right.
Well, so those are two, right? Financial management is number one. Number two, time management. Number three, you've done this just recently of building a strong team.
Yep. And it's
And
not like it's a finished, it's actually, there's a lot of like tweaks that you have to do when you do have a team. You need to figure out who's strong in what area. You need to constantly be recruiting new people, training, putting people in the right positions, exploring, some coaching with them to get them to be, highly productive, figure out what their limitations are, having consultations, one-on-ones with them. It's a constant, it's another duty as a team leader, to do.
it is, and building the strong team, it takes a little bit of discipline in the sense is you need to know what skills you need from somebody, right?
Right.
The
Yeah.
job and the task at hand, those people, they got to possess a certain skill to get the job done. And maybe they don't, maybe you have to teach them to it. But then again, then that takes you back to time management, number two challenge, right? Of now you got to take some time aside to train them how to do it, which is okay. But
Yeah.
you just got to basically schedule that.
Yes. Definitely have to schedule that too, and scheduling it amongst, each person on your team so that you don't feel like you're leaving people out, or, you're not paying attention to maybe somebody that's really self-sufficient, but maybe they would benefit from a one-on-one. And just fostering that positive culture is really going to keep the motivation in place and keep people happy. I know you've talked
Exactly.
about that a lot. You're really good at making sure your team is happy and, they want to stick around.
Well, I've had great success in employee retention.
Hmm.
And here's something I want to stress though. When you're interviewing people and you hire people, keep in mind, not all those people are going to work out, right? It's about 70%. About 70% of the people that you hire are going to work out. The
Yeah.
other 30%, they're not. And you're going to have to let them go, or they're going to go on their own, or they're not going to be able to grasp the challenges that are in front of them. And so just know that you're not a failure if you've hired somebody and they didn't work out. Now, if you do that time and time and time again, and everybody you hire uh, isn't working out, and you've hired 10 people and you fired 10 people, well, then yeah, you probably need to rethink about your hiring process and your interview skill, right?
Yeah. Yes,
But
exactly.
on average, about 70% should work out.
Yeah. And sometimes maybe you're just not in a position where you can devote the time to building the team or investing in people. So you might want to look at that. It could also be a timing thing.
You could,
Hmm.
and also here's another thing that you should think about in the sense that if you're not good at it, then hire somebody that is, and then
Yeah.
delegate that to them and let them help you build that team.
Delegate. Yes, absolutely. People like that own a business, entrepreneurs are usually the type of people that think they have to do it all or that, have that sense of control over everything. They want to make sure everything's going to be perfect. And you have to kind of let that go. You have to let your company grow and let it go and delegate to other people.
Right. I had a while back a manager that worked for me, and we're really good friends today. Um, I started letting him do the pre-interviews and do all that stuff, and it just took, interviewing, for restaurants and stuff like that is very time consuming. And so I was able to take 50 minutes of my hours back for myself to do with the things I needed to do and allow him to do the interview process. And then when he found a good one, then he would pass them off to me. And then a lot of times I would just go with his gut because he was really good at it.
He was great at it. Oh, that's fantastic. That's a success story that you
Yeah.
realized that and you were able to form that, team and delegate that off to him. Yeah, so don't feel like you have to do it all. There's always somebody that could, you know, become a positive benefit to your business structure and help you with some of those tasks. In fact, after this podcast, you and I talk about some of those things. So,
Yes, exactly. So this is another big one, right? And we've talked about this on many previous podcasts, but it's marketing and basically customer acquisitions,
mhm.
right? And this is a big challenge for businesses, not just new businesses, but all businesses,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah.
how do you get new customers? How do you acquire a new customer?
Well, you always want to know who your audience is. We've talked about this countless times because if you know your audience, it'll help you target your marketing.
Exactly. And how do you know your audience? I mean, that's the biggest unknown, right? Because okay, I'm going to sell, let's say I'm going to sell a pen, a writing pen.
Hmm.
Okay, well, you got a big audience, right? Because everybody uses writing pens.
Well, that's an easy one.
It is an easy one, but it's not really because everybody uses, everybody in the world uses a pen to write something. So how do
Yeah.
you narrow down who is your target? I mean, that's the broad spectrum, but really, what is the finite and the detail, right? Is the ink black? Is the ink blue? Is the ink red? Is it green? You can really start narrowing down into small niches of who you're selling to.
Sometimes that'll develop organically when you start selling, and then you realize who is actually loving your product or service. And they're the ones that are repeat customers that come back in time and time again. And so you could develop that knowledge from trial and error, from just being in business, right? You're like, oh, wow, I didn't expect this demographic of people that, come in for this, all, time and time again, like repeatedly. So you might find that out over the course of time,
Yes,
right?
you
Like
might.
studies, surveys, right?
Surveys and studying your advertisement and stuff like that. And you bring up a good point because if that does happen, then you become to a pivotal point where you do need to pivot and maybe change your strategy some, right?
Right. And then you want to hook your customer, right? You want to hook the audience with a value proposition, something that will get them to want to inquire and learn more about your company or your services. So know what is going to create your unique value, what's distinctive about your company, maybe where your passion lies with your business, like maybe bring that to the forefront in some of your marketing messages and taglines. Knowing who you are, why you love what you do and what differentiates you from the competitor is really where you're going to shine, and you're going to feel like joy in the marketing because you'll be getting results. I always believe that if you're passionate and you align with, what you're doing and selling, and it just comes like really natural for you, then you'll be able to extend that message out into the audience, into the public, into the market, and, get the results back.
I couldn't agree more, Lisa. Let's say that. I
Getting a
absolutely,
clear, compelling,
yeah,
value
you know,
proposition. It's hard for some people. They're like, I don't know what it is. So it could be a difficult thing. And sometimes you just need to spend some
ask
hours
ask
journaling.
around, right? Ask your family, ask your friends and stuff like that. And the other thing that kind of ties into that is organic marketing. People have asked me, what's organic marketing? Well,
Okay.
that's marketing that you're not really paying for or going, you're just throwing something out on Facebook or Instagram or whatever about, hey, we provide these services or something like that, right? So,
Right. Yep.
and that's free, right? I mean, Facebook is free, Instagram's free, TikTok is free. So people use those platforms, especially a lot of the younger generation. Okay, the younger generation probably doesn't use Facebook like us older people
But
do.
anymore, I know.
Right. But TikTok, um, if TikTok's still going to be around or not, I don't know yet. But
Uh, but yeah, that's
those,
free. I mean, you could hire a
yeah,
company to do the posts for you or to help you with branding. But if you're just starting out in a new business, I mean, it's all free to you to use.
yeah.
LinkedIn, everything.
And
Hmm.
and and then just figuring out how to turn those leads, capture those leads and turn them into paying customers, right?
Right.
That's that we should probably have a podcast just
Oh
on
my
that
gosh,
because
that would be so beneficial. I would like to
maybe
hear yourself
maybe
talk about it so that I will do it better.
yeah,
Yeah,
we'll do that next episode. We'll do that. We're going to take capturing leads and turning them into customers.
cool. We'll close out this season strong.
Yes, we will. Yeah, I think that's a good one to talk about, right? And because it needs its own 30-minute
Yes,
podcast to kind of go over that, and it could go a lot more. But
I know.
there's guides, there's tools, there's trials of software out there you can try. Everybody and their brother's got something to try and help you. What's right, what's wrong, who knows? We'll give you some examples next week.
Okay, cool. I'm excited. That's awesome.
Yeah, there you go. Now we know what we're talking about next week. The
Yeah, referrals too, right? Getting
uh,
referrals for your
yes,
marketing.
those are the
That's
best
yes. You want word of mouth.
because if you get a referral, that means you've got a current customer who is happy with the services or product that you've given them, and they're willing now to tell somebody else about it.
Yes.
That's a huge success.
Reputation stacker. I was just looking it up on my phone because I was just turned on to this by one of the people in my industry. They said that once they have completed a job for a customer, they send them a link, and Reputation Stacker is the app or software that does that automatically for you. Once you
Oh,
put them in the database, this app will send out a survey or right here, 5-star review or your testimony about your experience. So
I like
there's
it.
some
Let's.
software out there that does it for you. So you don't have
I
to be like, can you tell me if you liked my service?
yeah. I like that, and I want to look into that. That looks really really good.
Yes.
You
So
know,
getting referrals. Yeah, we all want referrals for sure.
yes, we do. Um, Also, you should be tracking all this stuff, right? So you should know in the marketing, I mean, that's the biggest piece. You need to monitor that. You need to babysit it, and you need to adapt and make changes immediately.
Right. The next one
So,
is what? Studying your competition.
yes. So, it's been said that the best way to learn a business is go work for a competitor first, right? Before you start your business, go in the industry, whether it's a retail store, whether it's a restaurant, whether it's a hair salon, whatever the case might be, go work for them and learn the ins and outs of the business
Yeah.
at least how they do it. And either you can figure out how they do it and duplicate that, or you can see what's gone wrong. And then when you start your business, you can, adapt, make changes along the way.
Right. Improvements or offer something slightly different.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and you should always, once a week, be checking um, your competition, right? See what they're charging, what services they're providing or products they're providing, any changes they make. See if they're making changes and adapting to the changing market, whatever the case might be.
Stay
You
a
probably
step
need
ahead.
to,
Definitely.
right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
kind of
that's
know what they're doing and then double down, right?
right. Cool. So the next one is what? Legal compliance, making sure that you're up to date with all the relevant laws that are constantly changing and regulations, especially in real estate these days. We have so many changes. Or you could seek professional advice and get
Right.
help. Uh,
Definitely, and that changes all the time, right? We got new tax laws now that have come out. There's new labor laws that have come out. If you have employees, well, then you need to make sure you know what those are and you're not stepping over the line or the boundaries of those things.
Right.
And that's a pretty easy one and just quick, a quick blurb, but nonetheless, it is a challenge that a lot of new businesses are up against.
Yeah.
I was talking to a business owner, not one of our customers, but a business owner the other day who started a new business. And I asked him, I says, what was the biggest shock to you when you started your business? And they said, payroll taxes. I didn't
Mm.
know that I was going to have to pay all that stuff, you know, and, so payroll is I'm paying this person $20 an hour, but really I'm paying them $32 an hour with, you know, Social Security, taxes, and all this other stuff. I didn't consider all that stuff.
Wow. So yeah, definitely need to do some research. Otherwise, you're going to be hit with a few surprises, right?
Yes,
That's
you
happened to
are.
me in my past for sure.
Uh,
Scaling the business is challenge number 7.
that
Scaling the
is,
business. Let's talk about that for a minute.
yeah, and that one kind of comes after you've started your business and been going a while, but sales pick up, right? And now it's time to grow and expand your business. And there are a lot of challenges um, that go with that.
Always challenges, definitely. Yes.
Yeah,
So you'll have to watch your margins and, growth might mean more expenses. So you might want to, have a financial analyst put their eyes on that to make sure that you're, keeping your profits, right?
right. Well, and you just hit the nail on the head. If you grow your business, expenses are going to grow exponentially with that, right? If you grow your business 10%, your expenses are going to grow 10% as well.
You may need to raise your prices to offset that, cost of inflation, things like that.
Yeah, you may.
Mhm.
It's important to make sure you get the right team in place that can adapt and take on new business, right?
Right.
And
Make sure
and
like this happened to me where you're having so much growth and you have like your calendars booked with clients and everything, and then the money's pouring in and you're really not servicing the clients well because you're exhausted, you have too many clients,
yes,
and
I've
things are slipping
I've
through
run
the
it
cracks.
exactly. I've run into this in the past, and I've advised past customers of this too. You need to grow. Your growth for your company needs to be moderate, right? You
Yeah,
can't grow too fast because you outgrow yourself, and then everything falls apart.
I
So you need to have a
get burnt out.
steady, yeah, you need to have a steady growth, right? And really, any company that comes to me and said, hey, we grew by 60% last year, I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I mean,
Yeah,
yes, that's a great thing to have, but I know from personal experiences
experience.
that all kinds of stuff fell off the wayside, right?
Yes,
A
bubble's gonna
good,
burst.
you should not grow your business any more than 15 to 20%.
That's a good range.
It's a good modest range. It's got I mean, a 20% growth year over year is excellent. You find most companies that are growing maybe 3%. You hear Apple and Microsoft and stuff like that, right? Well, think about their companies and the scale that they're at, right? Microsoft's got what, 180,000 employees. So if they grow at, let's say, 5%,
Yeah.
180, that's 18,000. And then half of 18,000 is what, 9,000? So they've hired 9,000 employees. That's a significant chunk of change
Yes.
and staffing. So
Right.
just understand that, again, as we talked about, as your company grows, so do the expenses.
Yeah. And make sure you have customer retention. If you are getting really busy, you want to be really good at customer service and follow through and follow ups and making sure that they stick around and they don't go to one of your competitors. So customer retention is huge when you are growing your business.
When I worked at GE many, many years ago, right? I grew the business from $5,000 a month, $60,000 a year, to $55 million in 3 years.
Yeah.
That's a huge growth.
That's huge growth.
And so I actually hired 2 dedicated employees, admin, that would do nothing but call customers and have conversations. How we doing? What do we need? Stuff like that, and kind of follow up as our growth was going, how that impacted them, so that we could adapt and modify.
Checking in with them. Yeah. And that's how you learn about your business, when you're doing those calls and you get to hear the feedback, right?
Exactly. So, so that marketing, and scaling your business, huge.
The next one is a really sore spot for many people, as somebody's going to suffer when you're building a company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The work-life balance, right? And I suck at that, man. I'm more work than life, and you're right. Somebody's going to suffer.
Yeah. Sometimes it's yourself along with your family. But
Yes.
so make sure that you, like I said earlier, put the personal stuff on the calendar too. Even a quick lunch with your loved one could just make the whole difference in the whole week.
Yes, exactly.
A text.
Yep,
Yeah.
definitely. So,
Okay,
the
challenge
last
number
one,
9, mambo
yeah,
number, adapt to your market. Make sure you're, like we said earlier, studying the competition, what your competitors are doing. Make sure you're up on the legal compliances and stay ahead of any changes so that you could be prepared.
exactly. I mean, again, we've kind of already discussed this, but you need to be able to pivot fast, right?
Yes.
And lastly, again, back with work-life balance, understanding stress and emotional exhaustion, right? Don't burn yourself out, and understand when before you hit your limit. Actually, you don't want to hit your limit. You want to kind of step aside before you actually hit that limit.
Right. Take walks. I know people can get physically sick. One of my friends is like having physical challenges because she's so stressed and overworked. So it's so important to not get to that point. We need you guys, so stay healthy.
Yes, definitely
Your
so.
customers are depending upon you. So that's a wrap, Barry.
It is a wrap. Look at that.
Yeah, that was a
30
fun
minutes goes by quick, doesn't it?
right? It's
Okay,
always
well,
fun working.
yes. So, feel free to reach out to Lisa and myself. We're at the Biz Show on Facebook, the Biz Show Facebook group.
Yep.
As well, you can find us at investquire.com, Lisa and myself. Yes. We're more than happy to, have a conversation with you. Maybe we can help you. Maybe you can help us.
Yes, exactly. Help us understand what we're doing right and doing wrong so we could be better.
There you go. I like it.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Thank you for listening to the Biz Show podcast. Subscribe to stay updated and follow Barry and Lisa on Facebook at the Biz Show. Share your comments or suggest specific business topics you'd like to hear. Bye!